Are we live? Here we go. Yes, we are.
Live in action.
In action. Beautiful.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How's not DMing the last couple weeks?
It's actually kind of nice.
No prep.
I went on like a month spree of just like, let's just dive back into the books. And now I'm like, okay, now let's get back to work and reading other books. But yeah. I miss it. I miss playing, but life happens.
Yeah. I get it. Because things pop up in life, and Dungeons and Dragons has to take a back seat at some point. That's
it shouldn't. It really should.
I agree. It is life.
Yeah, it is a part of life. I think it is life.
Exactly. It is life. You're reading Black Tongue Thief now, right?
I finished it.
Oh, did I just not see your yesterday video? Is that what it was?
I think it was toward the end.
Okay.
Where I mentioned that I finished it. Wow. Have you read it?
Not yet. I've read a page or two just to like get a sample of what Christopher Buehlman's writing is like, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna love this. Same thing with Mark Lawrence. Like I read a bit of him. I love his writing, and I love Christopher Buehlman's writing. Like their prose are just like, there's something about it that just drew me in, and for some reason, I think it always comes back to Malazan. Malazan is always pulling me away from my current reads. So once I dive into a big series, I'm like hard struck to try and finish it, and it's hard for me to start a new series, considering Black Tongue Thief or something short like what Mark Lawrence says. I think it's the Broken Empire trilogy is the first thing I dove in, which is a little bit divisive just because of how the character's head you're in right when you get out of the gate and how brutal this person is. But yeah, no, I have fallen in love with a lot of prose I haven't been able to truly give enough attention to.
Yeah. It sucks, man. Like ever since becoming a reader, I just never want to rush through because the prose. Yeah. That's a whole aspect that I'm like, I'm willing to just read at a snail's pace.
Yep.
If it takes me 10 minutes to read a page because I want to reread things, I'll do that. Because writing styles, man, when they connect to you, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it feels like Buehlman specifically, and I'll keep referring to Mark Lawrence, but there's something, I don't know, it's just like they're speaking to you as the character so clearly that it just like feels like you're watching. I don't know. I visualize when I read, so I feel that when I read their work. But yeah, I can't wait to dive into Christopher Buehlman. Now that means in Red also, I think he finished. I think he's finished or is finishing.
Red. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about. There's a chat here.
Yeah.
Goodness, Red talking story. Oh my gosh,
John's
we got
in house.
Will.
Will. Oh yeah.
Great
whole crew. But I think, are you going to go right to Daughter's War, or how do you feel?
No, I'm going to give halfway through the body.
Oh, okay. Ooh,
look at that chonker, man. That is a big book.
I do. Stephen King's another. I mean, he's just another writer. I think that I can so easily fall in love with what I'm reading just because of the voice. I don't know.
There's nothing to not know. It's just I don't know either. I don't know.
You hear Adele on the radio and you're like, this is good.
Yeah.
It's just what
comes
comes up.
What's that band? The Beatles.
Yeah, you hear the Beatles. You're like, this is just good. There's nothing we could do about it.
That's Stephen King, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's I don't know. I don't know. But speaking of which, well, not Stephen King, but what are you currently reading?
Currently, I'm reading Reaper's Gale. Oh, I should have brought over Abel Montero's book as well, Crimson Fire. But I'm about 8 or 9 chapters into this pup. This is the 7th book in Malazan, Book of the Fallen.
Yeah.
7 of 10 big ones.
That's a pretty big book compared to, this short story.
Well, I'm a mass market paper guy. I love a good mass market, that feeling of just like, I don't know, just having like a brick in your hand. It's a bit bizarre, like appreciation I have for it.
You're in New York, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm in New York.
Deep in it?
In the city. Yeah, I'm in literally outside of Manhattan. I work in Manhattan. I work in Upper East Side.
When you do transportation, do you do like subways and buses?
Yeah, subways. Yeah.
So you're the guy on the subway with that
Oh,
Mass
no,
Effect.
no, no. I can't. My commute's short and I
Oh,
jump 2 trains. So I take one ride. It's like a 15-minute total commute, but I do, yeah. I mean, I can't focus on the stimulus of all of the faces around me and also give attention to a story. Oh yeah, Thomas. If you haven't read it, if you're into Stephen King now, Discovery, J.J. Minton, the
yeah,
family.
I'm seeing about it. I need
Yeah,
to.
it is. It's really good. It's not in my wheelhouse. It's not in my wheelhouse of like genre at all. I will, with the exception of like I can enjoy Stephen King, and reading it, I felt like. Have you read The Stand by Stephen King yet, or no? Is that
No.
somewhere on the list? Okay. I love post-apocalyptic stories, and this was
Yeah.
just such a good take or good twist or something. I don't exactly know how to articulate it well. Obviously, John can. He's the king of oration. But yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The characters felt real. Everything about the story, the pacing, just it has that same feeling of like I can't put it down that I get from a lot of other books that I really enjoy. Yeah,
Whoa.
book of the year contender.
Whew.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what about this though? About this?
It probably doesn't stand up. That creative trio is
Does
definitely.
John's book have a map?
I don't actually know if I should look. I
I
haven't
don't
opened the
know.
edition I have.
I
I
don't
have it
know.
over
I'm
here.
kidding.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
love a book with a map.
Oh, I
This
think
is this is heavy.
yeah, yeah.
What weight is this? Because this is not even what, maybe 500. Yeah, it's a little over 500 pages, but oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I think it's like close to 2 pounds, something like that. Maybe no. It's a
And my
little, it's
wife
like
do
one and a half.
some shoulder presses.
Yeah. The hardcover is yeah. Okay. Well, they might need a map for book 2. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's gonna be some things that happen at the end of book 1 that we might need a map. I don't know. We'll see. For Discovery. But yeah, I just use like a regular cream paper, whatever Ingram Spark has. And what did I do? Oh, the hardcover is that size 6x9, but the paperback, the actual print paperback is going to be a 5x8, so it's going to be a little smaller than that, so it'll be a little denser. I think it's like almost 600 pages exactly, like close to like 15 pages off there.
I like that.
But
It's crazy all the little details that go into it.
yeah, no, it's there. Yeah, it's tremendous, especially in the independent realm. There's a lot of hats that I have to wear on the daily. I think I don't know. I feel like I'm managing it relatively well, but I think a lot of people do, and I've had a lot of people in front of me do enough that I can follow in their footsteps. John is included in that category. He's been a great help to me so far with getting my pre-sale launched on my hardcover that I did at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
In the end of June, and just overall, there's just so much. And then Abel Montero, of course, is like, yeah, I know he's not here. He's in Sicily, so he might be in bed right now. But he has been such a massive help, and he's an author himself. Wrote The Crimson Fire, and I'm reading that now too. And I'm about 40% in, and it is great. It's good. I love it.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
We got a question here, but we'll get to. I want to start from like kind of the beginning here. So, what was there a particular book, movie, game, or moment that just was like, I want to write?
D&D was the biggest catalyst for me discovering that I can write and want to. Writing this story and creating a world I had 2 tables of 8 as a DM. So I had a co-DM though. I had like a map that I did on a website somewhere. I created pages upon pages of classes, races, lineages, and I created a whole character sheet that I think I sent to you in that Discord. And then I was like, okay, well, I created this game, but we need a world to play in. And then I had my players play in that world for a bit. And one day after I had I was in a really down moment. I was alone and I had just torn my hip labrum, and D&D, like all my friends were on deployment when I was in the Navy out there in California, not, and then, what else? Yeah, I just had a moment of like it's like severe loneliness. I was crutching around. My mom had just left. She'd come to California for 10 days to help me post surgery, which is actually like a really good memory now that I'm like here. It's cathartic. And yeah, I crushed upstairs, sat in the chair, and started working. And the primary inspirations that like come to mind when I think about my writing specifically, it's all cinematic. It's a lot of Lord of the Rings, it's like the movies, because I asked myself, what if Aragorn lost everything after the War for the One Ring, and what if Sam had to kill Frodo at the to save Middle Earth? Those are the two big questions that I asked myself at the start of my writing, and I wanted to tell a story of perseverance. Like it really my brain went to where would Sam go after he had to do that? Like what would his trip back to the Shire look like if he just had to kill his best friend who he went on this journey with in order to save the Shire,
Heavy stuff.
Yeah. So that sort of thought like just transcended my brain. And then watching the Dune movies, I watched them once on an iPad on the plane, which I completely am so mad at myself for never being able to see that in person. And then trust me, it hurts me too. And I absolutely love Denis Villeneuve and the cinematographer of that, which I'm mad I can't name him. I'm sure you can.
Greg Fraser.
Yep, Greg Fraser. Absolutely. There was just something there that I just was like, okay, I have to watch this again. We have this big TV in the living room, so I watched it again when my mom was with me after my surgery, and I was like, man, there's just something. And I just started like studying everything that I was watching, and picking apart the little things, going and watching videos of like the little pieces that Denis left that he loved about the book that maybe not a casual fan would pick up on. And all those things just sort of like stacked and stacked and stacked. And then of course, Elden Ring is like one of the biggest ones, RuneScape and Elden Ring. Like I love playing RuneScape growing up. And then Elden Ring, just the massive world and that narrative, the narrative tool of putting things in the world around you and being able to tell a story through the environment, and just assume that we're gonna have to figure it out as we go. And honestly, you don't even need to, but it's just the more you know, it just completely changes your perspective if you go back and did it again. It's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had playing a video game.
Yeah, I not to detract from your inspirations, but I mean the fact that I think environmental storytelling in anything, in D&D and writing, but visually, video games. Denis Villeneuve, story tells through imagery. It's such a rare art and a rare perspective. I'm not a writer, but I understand ambiguity, and I say that on my channel all the flipping time. But like, that is so vital in giving the viewer, the player, a nugget, to chew on and think about, and visually, to think about like, what does that mean? And so how does that translate to writing? Like to put, since you're such a visual and cinematic person, how do you like translate that kind of mindset and approach to words? As in like, hey, I want to be minimal. I want to be, environmental storytelling, kind of like how Elden Ring is, like you see a tower off in the distance.
Yeah. It was a lot of just like ugliness and like learning, like being okay sucking at writing and essentially taking this thing I'm seeing in my head and putting it down on paper. And sometimes my hands would create the visual for me, and then I'd be able to picture it, which was, I mean, there are some times that I have still in writing where I'm just like, wow, like and that's not to say that, there's not suck in there. There absolutely is. But it's being okay, not being good at something, and then working through that time and time again until I get it to a point where I wrote my first draft in 6 months. My goal was 180,000 words, which was roughly what The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie was. And then I ended up with 220,000. Did one more revision, ended up at 230 before I sent it off to my editor. And yeah, I don't know. I just putting visual cues and things on page, it was a lot of redundance. There's a lot of redundancies, especially in the early drafts. There's a lot of just like, let's work through seeing. And then also I'd use this tool of trying to, traveling through the senses, like what's somebody smelling or touching right now. And it was,
that's something you learn from as being a DM, a dungeon master, because it allows you to, again, being a dungeon master, D&D is such a great thing for becoming a writer.
Yeah.
You just have to change your way of storytelling. Instead of the perspective of how you present the story to players who are in the moment, you got to, to a book. So Five Senses.
Yep. So
great on you.
I watched this video essay of how Denis Villeneuve used touch on screen, and there are parts where Paul Atreides is in Caladan, and he reaches down when they're taking off to go to Arrakis, and he reaches down to touch the water on the water planet. So, and then he just did that time and time again, multiple points throughout the film. And so that kept kind of coming up in the back of my mind to try and present touch, like a coarse feeling. I feel like is one of the, like, I was like kind of like my crutch, especially I think in book one, just using kind of like a coarse texture, a cold stone, just like things like that, salt sprayed stone, things that just like you know the feeling of when you say it. I don't know, those in a lot of the early stuff was just getting good at writing, and it took a lot of time. It took professionals mentoring me. It took a ton of research, and I'm still working on being a better writer, obviously, but there was a big jump I took once I got the professional assistance. I don't know. I think those sorts of things went a long way in my ability to describe what I might see and put on page. But Ugly First Draft was just like, be okay not being good at this, know that there's going to be redundancies, and just do it, and then work through it later.
So kind of about that, there's like, I can't remember this famous quote. I'm sure you've heard it. Like, you gotta. Sorry, I don't know if you hear someone, but we got a neighbor guy who yells. You write as if basically no one else is gonna read it.
Yeah.
And then I remember there's this famous quote about like writing drunk or something and editing.
Yeah, Stephen King. I think that's Stephen King.
Something like that. How do you gain that confidence? And I get it. I mean, it's a simple answer. It's like, oh yeah, the more you do it, I gain confidence.
Repetition.
Really, it takes a lot of confidence to just, even in your room, just being alone and writing. How do you push through?
Mostly
where's that confidence come from?
Mostly it's blind confidence. A lot of the times, like, I am talking to myself, like, that voice in my head of I'm not good enough. Like, this is like I with the first book, there was definitely more of it in the first book than there has been with the second book, but there was a ton of like, I'm not good at this. And then I heard another author speak about, needing to know that your work is worth seeing the light of day, and relentlessly believing that pursuit, like no matter what. And I think that has served me well. And pushing past that resistance of I'm not good enough came from the tools I put in my toolbox. Stephen Pressfield is a big inspiration as well, and he wrote Gates of Fire, which I absolutely loved, and I read a lot of his other historical fiction pieces on like Alexander the Great. But his nonfiction, The War of Art, which is
my gosh,
I mean, that was like my Bible. Yeah, that was my Bible. That was like, whenever I look down at myself and my writing, I'm just like, you gotta just push through and do it. And you have to sit your ass in the chair and put your butt down and where you want to be, like put where your heart wants to be, just get there and sit. I don't know. That was like a big part of it. And now I think the confidence just comes from knowing that I want to know what comes from the story, and knowing what is going to come from this story, and the effect that it's going to have on me putting it on paper, let alone, people that I've been so fortunate to have a bunch of people reach out who are enjoying the book. And it's a crazy, and I want them to have a good experience with it. Of course, I'm definitely one of those people that, like, if I find something I love, I want everybody to also watch it and bask in its glory. Same. Like, you need to bask in this glory. You need to see what's so good about this. Like, recently that has been the movie Reign of Fire with Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. I've been wanting to push that on.
The best dragon.
Hey, those graphics for 2002 were
better than Jurassic Park, better than anything that's come out today.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda and I, my wife, she and I love that movie. And I think The issue with that film, it was just too short.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
live in that world a little more.
Yeah.
Um,
I was hoping they'd make another one. I really was.
oh,
That's one that I've been trying to push on people lately. I'm
give
like, you
me a
gotta.
video game of that, like a Fallout with
Ooh.
dragons.
Oh my gosh. I mean, no, because you don't have that. I was gonna say with Skyrim, you really don't though. Like it's like modern day London with dragons. Yeah, that's what we need. Yeah, that'd be so sick.
I think it is funny because again, the only way I can relate as a writer, I haven't written a book. I've only written a couple short stories, a couple paragraphs of a book I want to, write. But the only thing I really have is 6 years of being a full-time DM. Not full-time, but a forever dungeon master. And when you feel that same thing that you were saying is like, I want to share this with everyone. I want everyone to have a good time. As a DM at the table, I have all this prep done and I want everyone to have a good time. I want people to see and explore the world that I've created, So
yeah.
I totally get that.
I would argue that your experience with like cinematography and film and that aspect of creativity and the vision that it takes to successfully, to be frank, run a business that does well in a creative field. Like you have that experience, you have that wealth of knowledge, and the transfer just comes from the vision, I guess. Like I can't speak to any of what you do professionally, but I know that creatively there's something there that you can tap into that would I think transition really well into writing. And I think it's really cool that you have those short stories. Are we going to see them? Are they going to see the light of day?
Again, the creative journey is you got to have that confidence, and just like that book by Pressfield, I've read it and I want to read it again and again and again, because even my wedding film work, yes, they're for paying clients, but there's a level of, I set for myself that I want to meet, quality. And if it's not up to my standard, I'm going to be paralyzed by fear. And the biggest thing for me is when I see an empty canvas, that empty page, that empty timeline of a editing timeline. I'm scared to put something on it. But once I get that first 30 seconds in, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I think a timer is a very useful tool, like set a 30-minute timer and just sit there in front of the computer. And if you don't type anything, you don't type anything. But if you're going to get 30 seconds, you might as well put 30 minutes. And, if you type for 30 seconds and you don't type for the next 29 minutes and 30 seconds, at least you type for 30 seconds, I don't know. I think it's really cool that, especially BookTube, I'm seeing like a ton. And one of the reasons why I joined BookTube was to share my experience and my journey, and to sort of like, I want a community obviously surrounded with my story, but stories in general, and talking story. John, I'll see you later. I'm sure he's gone already, but
Header John,
like that, he has also, and him and Jacob, his son, have also been a giant catalyst in creating a community in general where story and the appreciation of story, especially in the genre that we all enjoy, it's becoming bigger, and it's so supportive. And Red's writing, Zachary Shea's writing, Jake from Nerd Level Rising is writing something, Chris from Bearded Book Beast is writing, and it's cool because I think everybody has a story to tell, and you'll notice like I'm sure there's similarities, but at the end of the day, like there's so much that goes into these stories, and so much so many different experiences that go into the story. And your experience as a DM for 6 years, like, my God, I think it's going to be so vital into what into the story that you create. I think your experiences are going to be cool. And that's like not just your 6 years of DM experience, but I think your film experience and everything. Oh, Josh, heck yeah.
I know.
Not a clue what's happening. That is the experience. Red had the experience too. I think my buddy Matt. You get to the end of the book, you go back and read the first 3 pages, and you're like, oh, I wanted to create that feeling of like you're Elden Ring, Malazan. You're kind of like, okay, I'm in this vast world, I'm exploring it, and maybe I don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to trust the reader to put the pieces together. Which is a really cool narrative tool that I obviously, it's my first book. The hope is that I did a decent job for somebody with their debut. And I think so far that I'm fairly confident that I have, because I think the people that want a story like that have found it. But yeah, I love seeing different experiences with books. Like people who, although I like a narrative my way, a specific way when I'm telling the story, and I have appreciation for those kinds of stories personally. Those tend to be my favorites. I have also an appreciation for people who write differently. I like Sanderson. I've only read one book of his, but I do like the way that he tells a story. It's not my favorite, but I enjoy it. I don't mind being having my hand held along the way. There's nothing wrong with that experience.
It's just different.
It's just different. Exactly. It's different tastes.
And how I've said on my channel, like the beauty of writing, and particularly fantasy, within that genre, it's just like when you play an instrument, but like there's different sounds with that same instrument.
Yes.
And every artist who touches that instrument is going to have a different sound.
Yep.
And yeah. I just love that. And that's the beauty of, I think, Black Tongue Thief. It takes these familiar tropes, and something familiar, and just kind of, puts a little sprinkle on there. I'm like, yes, I love it.
Yeah. That's the best. Like Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then you have Johnny Cash. Like you have, and they're all touching a guitar, really, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a different method to everything.
So what with methods and like routine, what is like your writing routine like?
Yeah, when I was in the military is when I started, and so it's definitely changed. So I'll run through what it was like, and then I'll tell you what it is now. I used to wake up around like 5:30, get to work by 7. I would sit in the morning, try and like read a page or something out of a nonfiction book. I don't know, maybe something Robert Greene at the time, or some just like a poem or something while I make my coffee in the morning with my pour over, and then I'd go to work. have my mug shaking in the truck as I go to work, and then I'd be probably out by 3. Sometimes I'd get some reading done during the middle of the day, or if I was mopping the floors towards the end of my career, because I had hip surgery, so I had to do a desk job, which did require at the end of my career, which did require me to do some mopping, which there's nothing wrong with that. But then I'd go work out 3:34, get home 5:36, eat. Between 7 and 8, I'd write. I'd try and get 1,000 words every day, and then weekends I would expand that time to about 3 hours on Saturdays and Sundays, with some reading preceding it, or maybe I was watching a show. I think Blue Eye Samurai was the one that I was really working through at the time, on Netflix. And yeah, that was sort of what it was. I was in bed by 8:30, drinking my tea, and then stretching, sleep. That was it. And then now I'm fortunate. I went back to my job I had before I joined the Navy. I'm a personal trainer. So I'll wake up. I mean, I know this is like super unnecessarily extensive, but it's the easiest way for me to kind of describe how I work.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, I wake up around 6. My girlfriend's out of bed before I am, and she's in the bathroom for as long as she needs to do the makeup and everything. And then I hop in the shower, and I go to work usually from like just immediately right out of the shower. No, put my clothes on, and then it's 7 a.m. or 7:30 till I'm usually out of the gym by 3. There's a workout in the middle somewhere in there, whatever time I have to spare. That's Monday through Friday, and then usually at the end of the day, I'll give myself like an hour or two before writing, between 5 and 7. That's usually my writing time. 4:30 to 7:30 is usually the range I go with lately. And I'm not doing all 3 hours. But a lot of this has been revision, simply because of where book 2 is now and getting book 1 ready to launch. There was just so many different things I had to start taking over. And then during the day, I'll periodically do some stuff for marketing or whatever I got to do, just like trying to put things into the pipeline, for distribution or, whatever. but yeah, so lately it's been a lot of revisions, but when I'm drafting, I try to get 1,000 words a day. This book 3, I'm going to go for 1,500 once I actually start drafting it, maybe 2,000, simply just because I have a little bit more under my belt now. I think I'm capable of doing that. And as long as I get that number, I'm good to close my life. If I get it in an hour, I get it in an hour. I have to give myself a break, and I want to leave something in the ether for me to come back to and grab the next day. That's important, I think, because I am very much a discovery writer, and I do take a lot from the previous, and then I'll go back and I'll read what I wrote, and then make some changes if they're necessary. Otherwise, I just let it kind of be, and then I get into the next little bit. But yeah, that's kind of the best way I can explain it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
I'm turning up my AC real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, just give me a sec.
So I'm not saying hi to everyone in the chat, but Anya, how you doing? Red, you're still here. I love it. Howdy doody.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here that I'm familiar with. It's really cool.
I know, it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know if the viewers can ask questions, but did you experience the fear of the first blank page? If yes, how did you get over it? We kind of went over like the blank canvas, but let's reiterate.
Yeah. I could kind of explain it a little differently.
Yeah.
The first blank page for me, especially put in that way. So actually in that context, when I first started my book, I had already written like hundreds of pages of material for my players as a DM. And so I already had also the backstory of my very first D&D character, which is what we see in my book. The very first thing I ever wrote, obviously made significantly better and more explored for sure and fleshed out. But the part 3 of the before that's at the start of my book is the first thing I ever wrote. And so I had written it for a character of my D&D campaign. Like this is the backstory of my character. And I had such a visual concept in my head of what it looked like. And it was easy because there was no pressure of like, this is going to be a book. It was just like, this is the backstory of my character. And so when I went to sit in my chair, when I was pushed to that, like I was, again, I want to reiterate that I was like incredibly like a very like low moment, kind of put me in that chair to write. And yeah, there was no fear of like, I had the fear of I'm going to suck, but I didn't care. Like I have sucked at too many things in my life and gotten good at them to I've had that experience of working through not being good at something to just know like, okay, I may not be good, but let's scale it. Okay. I'm going to not be good for 700 pages. All right. And then you go back, you're like, I'm gonna keep getting better and better and better. I'm keep getting better and keep refining it. But I think when it comes to like sitting down in the chair generally and like day to day, it's just about like I explained like putting a timer on. For me, I have to write a sentence. And I'm like, okay, if I write a sentence, it doesn't matter what the sentence is. It doesn't matter if I have to write 500 words in order to figure out where I'm at and then delete all 500, I am willing to do that. I'm willing to vomit 500 words that become meaningless because I know that I'll discover in that process what I'm actually looking for. And it's sort of like digging. You have to like dig until you find exactly what it is you want. And it takes time, but yeah, it's that part I think is the most work that I experience as through writing, with the exception of obviously revising.
It's amazing how like when we go, get to our lowest, we have low moments in life. I feel like being a creative, I feel like it's very common for creatives to feel low more often than not, because this is only from my experience. I get low when I'm not creating. If I'm not creating, I don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Or progressing through something, whether it be through a book or a video game. But really, when I'm not creating, I feel I'm not as, satisfied.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if I know you said you took a low moment for you to get into that chair, but curious if what your situation is, or if that's common for you.
Referencing
as in like
not feeling fulfilled when I'm not creating.
Sure.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that everybody has something, and whether it's a creative endeavor or not, There's something that maybe we don't know that we should be doing, and I use the word "should" pretty liberally there because I don't think it's a good word actually.
Mhm.
But there's something that we feel called to. How about that? There's something we
Yeah.
feel called to doing, and you know, we may not be able to identify what it is, and that itch. It's like, man, I'm not doing what I should be doing right now. I'm not doing what I should be doing right now. I get it. I get it daily. And when I write, it just disappears, or when I pick up my guitar and sing, it disappears. It goes away. I think that there's those things in our lives, and I actually relate a lot of creativity to storytelling. I think everybody, whether you are are a cinematographer with wedding films, or you write a book, or you play guitar, I think everybody in those fields is trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when I had gotten rid of the stigma of needing to be a writer, needing to be an author, and just being a storyteller, it opened up the world for me. Like, there was no worry, like, I'm going to be a bad writer, because actually I know I'm a good storyteller. The tools that I have to tell the story have definitely evolved and are always going to be getting better. But at the end of the day, like, I know I'm a good storyteller because it's what I've been good at my whole life. It's the thing that I like. Maybe not good. Maybe good's not the right word, but it's always what I've been called to. It's always been what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to tell a story. I've always wanted to evoke emotion out of people. Mostly good. I love making people laugh. I think that's a big one. But also, like, I love exploring the darker parts of of life in some strange ways, of being able to hope through through suffering, persevere through pain, just all those things, enduring. It's like
Preaching to the choir here.
yeah. So I think when it comes back to it, when I'm not doing something creative, yeah, I feel like I need to be doing something creative. I feel like I
Yeah.
need to be telling a story. Yeah.
Same. And when I'm not making wedding films, I love like a project, like I always spent the past month just writing D&D stuff.
Yeah.
Studying game systems and trying to create a little region for one shots, for characters to just kind of dive into.
Yeah.
And
as a player listening,
that right there just, that right there just,
where are all the traps?
It fuels me. Yeah. Yeah. All the traps are, but I am curious so you said you were writing while you were in the midst of getting through a Netflix show. Which show was that?
I was watching Blue Eye Samurai at the time. It was just like a throw on. It was, yeah.
Are there specific I have two questions here, but one of which is, how do you separate writing and your, blocking everything out so you are within your world, within your characters, within your mind, and not allowing all of these other books that you're reading, these other stories that you're reading, and other games you're playing to potentially influence you in a way that you may not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And let me apologize for disrupting your train of thought about asking where all the traps are during that profound moment.
No, it's fine.
Because I felt like I was just trying to steal some of your thoughts. So next time we play, I know what this
please. There's a great book, Steal Like an Artist.
Oh yeah. So this is perfect for the topic actually that you asked. I think putting my head in the character's head initially is like already a boon to that concept. I think there's nothing we can do about the stories that we've experienced. We have to just sort of accept that they're going to be in the story, because I feel like if you spend too much time trying to avoid, like, isn't that a thing? Like, you think too much about something you don't want to do or shouldn't do, and then you do it anyway. So I think I tend to ignore, if there's something there, I'm not going to go out of my way to take it out, especially when I'm just drafting. I think if it's something I catch in revision that is too much, and it's almost it's a one-to-one, which I've been fortunate that I haven't found quite yet, but there, I definitely do wear my homages on my sleeve at times, or sorry, wear my influences on my sleeve at times, and there are homages like intentionally put into the story just to sort of like signify a beat. I think it's an important tool. Actually, I think it's a pretty useful tool to use your influences. And I don't know, some of my favorite, like the Benjamin Lyer, the Failures. Yeah, Christopher Rocchio, exactly. Benjamin Lyer from The Failures, like he says, like, thank you, like, I'm so grateful that I stole literally, and he names like 4 or 5 authors. He's Stephen King. I'm pretty sure he said Gene Wolfe in there, which I would be shocked if he didn't. But yeah, and it's just like something that happens. It's just a matter of like, you know, if you're stealing it and you're not giving it its own meat, you know, like you can shred it down to its bones, but if you're not like putting something from your characters into it, or your world or your plot into that thing, and then taking that to its extreme, like, what if I introduce this thing to this concept, take it to its extreme, and then sort of like clean it up. I think it's okay if it's actively in your head that way, as long as you're like, especially if it's something that really deeply affected you. Like a moment that deeply affected you is going to be in your head as you work. There are particular moments in book 2 that I'm thinking of, where there are some things that happened in Malazan that deeply stuck with me, that I do pay homage to, but I made sure it was in its own way, because it had to be. Like if it's not, then it's people like, no, people like pick that up. They're like, yeah, that's like unoriginal, like whatever. I mean, and originality is a whole other concept of conversation. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it was important. It's important to accept that I'm going to have influences for my story. But at the end of the day, my characters and through their eyes and what they see in the world and how the world is evolving around them is going to take precedent over whatever the influences are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's also how you execute it. Execution, I think, is the most important thing. You can have all these great ideas, whether they're blatant 1-for-1s or just homages, but if you're not executing it, that's, for me as an artist, noticing it in filmmaking and in other books, it's like, dang, this could have been so good and it wasn't executed. But then I see things that are just like, executed beautifully.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I love myself a good, like, I don't know. I love seeing something be like, oh, I know where they got that from, or I know that there's something that came from. And I love, maybe I love more. What I love more about that is just what they turned it into, and just like the emotional effect that it was able to have. Yeah. I don't know. It's just such a cool experience, the whole creative process.
Yeah. I agree. I love that. There's a book, you know, the Steal Like an Artist, or is it Steal Like
I think it's something along those lines.
Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon or Clayon. I don't know. That book's amazing. It's simple. You can refer to it the way it's you know, drawn out and laid out. It's beautiful. It's perfect for the creative mind. One of the biggest things that I took from it was study your influences, your favorite filmmakers, your favorite writers, but then study who influenced them. What I did is I wrote down 10 films that were Denis Villeneuve's favorites, 10 films that were David Fincher's favorites, et cetera, et cetera. And then I just watched them. And I was just like, it's a trip, because you can see, you know, the influences, and then you take a little bit from here, take a little bit from there, and pretty much it's you know. It's what you bring and add to those influences. I think of Kobe Bryant. My favorite basketball player, the only guy to mimic and emulate Michael Jordan in every sense. He wanted to be like Mike, and he took everything.
And it worked.
And it worked. 5 rings. I mean, could have been 6.
Could have been.
Could have been. Red, sorry. Thanks for joining.
Bye, Red.
I've just been ignoring the chat, but
no, I think I saw someone ask me my age range that I'm looking for.
Yes, here we go.
It's just adult, like it's rated R for sure. I think if you read the first the prologue, you're going to realize that it's immediately rated R. And you know, not in a bad way, but just in like an R, it's rated R. And it's definitely for adults. I think that I'd be curious to see what an 18-year-old is able to experience from the story that I wrote. I'd be curious to see what they pull. I don't think I would have been capable of writing the story that I did, 12 years ago or 13 years ago. Yeah, I think, above the age of 25, I kind of have an idea. I know my experience with the story. I'm starting to hear other people's experiences with the story. Everybody's going to come to it differently and walk away with something different from it. I bet. I hope. Obviously, based on their experiences. But yeah, adult is the range that I was going for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's always tough, because publishing.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
Wearing all the different hats, and then that's why YA sells so well.
Yeah,
because it's a little more broad in that age gap.
Yeah, and I think also more, young adults are reading also, like generally.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see. I think with everything kind of going, I'll use the word digital, just referring to an analogy of digital and analog.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as things lean in society, technology is advancing, and we're starting to go more toward automation. I think people have a desire to go back to analog, and I think books are sort of an innate. There's something original about like picking up a book. There's something like there's a good classic feeling about holding a book, even if it's new. You're just like, I'm doing something that feels like, it feels like history. It feels like a part of history every time I pick up a book.
Feels like grade school.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see kind of a shift. I think there are more readers, generally speaking, now than obviously, there's more people, but I don't know. I'm not speaking off of any studies whatsoever. I'm just, and obviously I'm like deep into this world of reading and writing. So I'm seeing in my feed all these people who are reading, but I had no idea people read like this for the longest time. And then I got into the community and I was like, oh wow, like that people love reading.
Oh, here we go. Here's a hot take. I'm kidding. I believe that once the book is published, it's out of the author's hands. It is time for the readers to converse. And it is based on...
Yeah, totally.
Because readers, viewers, gamers, they will take what they want from it based 100%. Off their life experience. And that, again, that's also the beauty of storytelling. And I think the more ambiguous you are, or at least the more maybe minimal, allows for more room for interpretation. Granted, that's different. I mean, everyone's going to be different. Some authors want to allow for interpretation. Others want to be a little more like, hey, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the story.
Yeah.
This is what the character's feeling.
Yeah. I think my initial drafts had a lot of like, this is what the character's feeling. But I think and I'm only knowing this because Matt from Hobby Vomit, who I saw comment earlier, he's on a reread of the book actually. And his experience texting me through the reread versus through the first read, and sort of the inferences he made the first read and the things that he was picking up on then and what he's picking up on now, there's almost like kind of a night and day difference. So the room to make your own interpretation, I think, is there. And then I think the second time you go through something, you sort of get a better idea of what the creator was going for. I think the first experience usually is always, any experience is going to be obviously out of the author's hands. But I think the openness to see maybe what the creator was doing changes after the initial read. And I know I haven't had too many experiences or any experiences with rereading quite yet. I'm hoping to do it with Tad Williams because the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy is one of my favorites that I forgot to mention in my inspirations.
I have not.
Ooh, massive.
It's on my shelf. It's
this slow burn. If you liked Wheel of Time, I think you'll love Memory, Sorrow, Thorn. Not that I didn't read Wheel of Time, but I'm saying that because I understand that Wheel of Time has a lot of it's like a longer story. I feel like people who enjoyed Wheel of Time will like Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn simply because I loved Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, and everybody should love Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. That's really the only reason.
Yeah. Talk about an author. I mean, I haven't even read his stuff, but I've done enough research to the point where why aren't people talking about Tad Williams?
No, he's incredible. He's one of, I think he's one of those like, creative, he's like GGK, like Guy Gabriel K.
He's got a classic sound.
Yes.
Is not, you got your modern sounds and writing styles, but I know Tad Williams is very classic in a way.
Yeah, if people read, who have read Game of Thrones, read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, they're going to pick up. Like I just watched the show and I read the first book and a half of the Song of Ice and Fire. Reading Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn all the way through, I saw the influences to George R.R. Martin just like vividly there.
When was it published? Let's take a look here.
I think 91 or 89, I think might have been the first book.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that
88 or 89. I can't tell.
That's a nice decade, man.
Yeah.
That's when fantasy, I feel like, especially American fantasy, came into its own.
Yeah.
You know, you got Wheel of Time, you got Robin Hobb,
George R. Martin. Oh yeah. Jenny Merce, I think, did a lot of writing back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's great because I don't think I grew up in the 40s, in the 50s, or the 60s, or the 70s, 80s. And I don't know what fantasy was like.
Yeah.
I mean, was it just Lord of the Rings? I don't know. I haven't done enough research, but
yeah, there's a few stories. There's like Gormenghast, I think is another one, which I saw John Rammel, Rammel Broadcasting, talk about. His video on that got me so motivated to get into it. There's like a bunch of older stories, you know.
We got a question right here by Benjamin Burkett. Are you comfortable with?
Yeah, totally. I can run you through
What's your
relatively.
Social Security number?
So startup cost for a book is, if you're talking about just like sitting down and writing, just like open up Google Docs and write. Which, by the way, somebody asked me earlier what I use. I use Google Docs the first two books. Book 3, I'm going to Word because my editors and proofreaders like use Word docs, and it's just like the converting, the formatting, using Word is just so much easier, and also just like the tools that Word has is so much easier to navigate after transitioning from Google Docs. But as far as costs, like if you just have that, you can start up right away. And I think, I think there's something to, exactly. I think there's something to that. But referring, to the, I'm sure I know what you're saying. It cost me my editor for a book of my word count, which was about 230 when I sent it to him, Dave Butler. I sent him a 230,000 word book, cost me $4,000. My copy editor cost me $2,000 after we cut it down to like about $190. And then now the final count of the book is 171. And my proofreader, my copy editor cost me about 2,500. Proofreader was in total cost me 3,000 just because I used two different people. So right there we're at we're at 10,000 essentially. And again, this is using professionals. Like I literally was intentional on making sure. And by the way, worth every penny, worth absolutely. In fact, I would have paid more, worth every penny. My cover artist, Stuart Bach, I gotta get this right. He's doing my book 2 cover right now. I wonder if he ever sees me talking about him. He ran me, I think 11 or 1,200 was his cost for the cover, formatting and.
Chat, are we calculating the math here? What's the total?
Yeah, I think we're close to 12 right now. And then my marketing effort, I gave myself a budget and then I went significantly over. But I think I spent about probably $4,000 to $5,000 on different marketing tools and experimenting with some Amazon ads, which I think before a debut book releases is just not a good idea if anyone wants to know. But I didn't spend too much there. That wasn't that bad. The spending for marketing came from like printing all my physical arcs, and getting them out to everybody, getting professionals to review it, and praying that I didn't just waste $700 on a review that's gonna suck. But fortunately, it was good. Getting it up on NetGalley is almost like another $600-700 for early readers to come and shit on your work. Excuse my French. But yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's like a part of the process, and I think. Yeah, I think total, if you want to really go at it, and I got 3 art pieces done intentionally, which ran me probably close to another 1,800 total. We'll say 1,500 total. I spent a lot of money on trying to make this a good project, but the craft came first. As soon as I was done with the craft and spending money on that, I felt pretty comfortable, investing in the other things into it because of how much work I already had put into it. And I'm fortunate that. I mean, obviously I had to save up money, but I'm also fortunate that I have a trade that I've been working at for over 10 years that I'm good at, and I can fund the book myself. but there's definitely a lot of risk. Like I'm probably not going to make my money back on book one until I sell almost, you know,
You're probably not
3,000
going to, or
copies.
you will?
Yeah. I mean, if I sell, if in my first year I can do 25 or 3,000 copies, I think I'll make my money back. But there's a lot that has to happen for those things to line up. And by the way, I'm hoping that you know we're almost at 500 total now. So things are, you know, before a book launches, especially a debut book from somebody, I'm really proud of that. Actually, my goal was 10 in the first month when I first set out. I was like, I'm gonna sell 10 books from July 20th till August 20th, and before it comes out, we're almost at 500. So
I love that. That's awesome, dude. Congrats.
And not that any of that matters, by the way.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the story has to be the most important thing. So just sit down in front of your computer with, you know, whatever word processor you want to use. And that's your startup cost. Consider that. And then the more you work at it, the more you put your heart into it, the more you're going to want to just actively save. I recommend putting money aside for professional editing. That needs to be your priority. And then, of course, a good cover. Everybody, you know, you always need a good cover. Yeah.
Sorry, my wife got home. I think she's ripping open a box of pineapple.
Oh, no worries. You're good. That's so funny.
Is that what you're doing right now? I love it. Did you get 2 boxes?
Amazon Prime Day.
Just one? Oh. Trader Joe's, man. They
Trader Joe's.
And she's just addicted to it now.
I get it.
Tahini on it.
I get it. Tahini on pineapple?
We got the chili lime, right? Or are you putting? Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna tell my girlfriend about that. She's gonna lose her mind.
It's great. It's phenomenal.
Okay. Noted.
I'm gonna mute my mic here after I ask this question.
Sure.
We're gonna strip it back. I'm gonna go all the way back.
Yeah.
What got you into reading?
Okay. Yeah.
And what book started your reading journey? I don't need to mute my mic. She's
either way. So reading for me was always like I came late to reading, really, especially fiction. I dropped out of college after 2 years, and I was working odd jobs, like 3 or 4 at the time, and some of those jobs had a bit of a commute, so I would throw on audiobooks, but usually nonfiction. Like I read Harvard Business Reviews, I read Extreme Ownership, all those Navy SEAL books, and a lot of self-help stuff at the time. And I picked up fiction with the Jack Carr series, which was the Terminal List. It's a show on Amazon. Very great show, great books.
Okay.
So I started really my dive into fiction with that. The first one I listened to, and then I started picking them up physically and reading them. And then as I got more into Dungeons and Dragons and, writing stuff down, I was like, man, I really should be reading more fantasy. Because I started, really wanting to write fantasy. I was like, okay, I need to read more in that genre. And the first fantasy book I picked up, I was probably this is like the month I got my hip labrum repaired. It was Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams, and it was the first fantasy book I ever picked up. Which I don't know. I think if you don't know, go in blissfully ignorant and pick up something that's super difficult. Just do that and just expect that that's how all fantasy is. There's nothing wrong with that. That was my experience. I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be, a slow burn. I think it's just learning to be patient with the story and just seeing what the writer's doing. I was like, okay, this is big in fantasy. People love this one. Let me just read this. There's something calling me to it. Swords on the cover. I'm going to read it. And then I also read, I think, Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne and Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Those are my first dips into
those are
epic fantasy.
Phenomenal dips.
Oh yeah, no, I was very fortunate to have found him, but I did, again, that was all surrounded with a ton of what's it called? A ton of research. I needed to do a ton of research, and I knew that, so I was like, okay, let me dive into it. But yeah, reading in school for me at a young age I didn't have positive experiences with it ever. I would just improvise my reports and do enough to get a B or B plus in my, writing classes, my creative writing classes or whatever. I didn't read a book entirely until my senior year of high school, which was, we were forced to read for 30 minutes, which was great actually for me. And I read a book about basketball. I couldn't tell you the name of it, but, I didn't read. I
basketball too.
Yeah, I remember liking Lord of the Flies when I picked it up, but I can't claim to have finished that. I remember liking The Outsiders, but I can't claim to have known the literary genius that's in those books.
Yeah.
What's the other one with Lenny and Mice and Men? That was another one. I think I remember The Great Gatsby. I think those ones stick out to me as ones that I was like, okay, I could see myself liking them, but I just didn't, I didn't give them the time of day. I just improvised the reports and hoped that I was it. Harry Potter, was always on the shelf. My sister loved them. My mom read me the first 2 when I was very, very young. And then the Magic Treehouse books, Animorphs. I just remember having them on my shelves. I didn't read them. but I looked at him.
Oh.
I looked at him a lot.
Well,
I just stared at him.
I read the Magic Treehouse books, but I definitely stared at the covers and
Oh yeah,
moved the Animorph.
Yeah.
Freakiest covers.
Oh yeah, freakiest covers. But that was like my young experience with reading. It was more so just looking at the pretty covers, reading the back, and being like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." And then opening the first page and being like, "Oh, Midnight Chronicler, there he is,
the legend,
the cockroach Animorph." That's so funny.
Oh gosh, was that a real thing?
I think there was a cover with a cockroach. Yeah. If I remember correctly. I remember not wanting ever to get it.
Oh my gosh, I remember this.
Yeah, as soon as you see it.
Everyone Google cockroach Animorph. Oh my gosh.
Let me look this up. Let me look it up. I'm going to look at my phone. Pardon me.
Wow.
I'm too far from my computer right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Let's see.
Did these kids like have a choice to choose what animal?
I don't think they were able to choose. I think it was like oh my God, just became a cockroach. Yep.
Yeah.
That poor kid. So funny that's a thing.
That's wild. I'm curious what publisher was like, yeah,
cockroach is good. Yeah.
Send it, print it, revise it. No.
Nah, we don't need that. Yeah, I wonder what those read like now. I know that I don't know. I'm and by the way, I do intend going back and talking about like young reading experiences. Knowing how much you enjoyed Wheel of Time and people enjoy Wheel of Time, I have not read Wheel of Time, a single book from it, but one day I will have a kid and they will read Wheel of Time with me. They will have no choice. Whether that's the audiobook or not, otherwise, I don't know, but I will be getting into Wheel of Time and like also all the Percy Jackson books I missed out on when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Same. I'm gonna vicariously, you know, how, like parents vicariously live through their kids through sports. I'm gonna like, you gotta read. You gotta. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that'll be me. That'll be me. Sure.
I don't want to create the experience that I had with books for my children, but I will try to make them think what I'm reading is cool, and let that be like Wheel of Time and things like that.
I want my kids to see a book in my hand and not a phone.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that encourages them to be asking those questions.
Yeah.
And I've said on my channel, I'll never say no to my child if they want books.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. You want a picture book of Ferraris? Cool. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you want
sharks.
Magic Treehouse book? Cool. Let's do it. Sharks. Sharks and spiders were my thing.
Yeah, shark. You probably have seen the same book I have. Then there's like a shark book that was at like book fairs. It just has all the pictures of the different kinds of sharks in it. Yeah, that one I think about regularly. Too much. Yep. There's a video nowadays that pops up on YouTube of like a kayaker in New Zealand just like getting trailed by a great white. I watch it. I just like I don't know what it is.
You and I both probably got that in the algorithm. The same day, and it returns usually every summer.
Yeah, right around Shark Week. My birthday is Shark Week. It's next week, I think, right?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Love it. What are you doing for your birthday?
I think we're just this Saturday we're having friends over, but I think that Friday we're gonna go out to dinner. Gramercy Tavern's like one of my favorite restaurants. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but that's what I'm gonna be. Hey guys. Well, hopefully I think you need a reservation, so I think I'm okay. But not that I'm worried about anything like that, but yeah, I don't know. That's what we're doing Friday. And then Sunday, the book comes out. So July 20th is 2 days after. That's actually significant. My father passed away that day. It'll be 12 years this summer. So I wanted to release the book on that day. So I have my birthday Friday. We have like a Kings of Leon, Zach Bryan concert Saturday in Jersey. And then we have the 20th is the book release. But, obviously I'm going to honor my father, and I'll probably do a live stream or two on my channel, which, by the way, I'll have to send you, I think I'm going to send links around just for pop-ins. Like if people are around that day, just, whatever, people jump in and out, I'll shoot links out for people to come and stop by, and I'll probably do some signing because I think I'm supposed to be getting the hardcover pre-sale books by that day. So I'll do a live stream where I'm signing them. But sorry, I know you asked me about my birthday, and I get uncomfortable talking about things that I do for myself.
Right? Like for me, I do I like celebrating birthdays for other people.
Yeah.
Like recognizing the day, because it is a magnificent day. And I think it needs to be celebrated. But for me, it's like, I just want to be around friends and hang out and just be with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We discovered on July 4th that my girlfriend makes killer margaritas. So we're gonna
wow,
do some of
just
that.
discovered it. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Just figured it out. Yeah.
love it.
But yeah, and we know espresso martinis also she crushes. So
Yeah, my wife
there's a
makes good
oh yeah.
espresso martinis.
Like I said, that we gotta have to come out because we love that area. I'm not gonna say what area, but yeah, I when I was stationed out in California, that I'd drive a few hours and be out there, and that's like a very special spot for me.
It's great.
It's just like such good energy over there. It's so
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's in the midst of the chaos,
Yeah.
and I love it. We're very
Yeah.
thankful here, but uh as my last video that I posted, the clouds come in, the sun comes out, the clouds come in,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just so inconsistent. So
It's a lot of gray
a
in
lot of
California.
gray,
Yeah.
and I have to get my tanning in when I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I won't keep you for too much longer. I do
Yeah,
want
whatever.
to ask a couple more questions.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever we got.
Um, Parents,
Mhm.
how were they in your journey as just who you are and
Yeah.
as a writer and just kind of where you are in life?
Yeah, I think persistence, will. I learned a lot from my mother and my father. Like, his will to live, I think is I haven't met anybody that lived through such pain, literally just like having heart disease and going through that like most of his life for his family. Just all the obstacles that he had to overcome multiple times, facing death. He did. So I think like I can't claim to have faced any of those things that he has, but I think the will to move forward the way that he did, I definitely can take some of that from him. My mom as well, just like the perseverance of just enduring that, what being in that relationship, looking back, just what it takes to persevere through that. Massive. It's just like a massive commitment. So yeah, I think that's something that I took away. What else? I mean, there's so much. When it comes to like stories, my dad like loved films, loved watching movies, so he just did that a lot. Reading, it was not like a big, at least to me. My mom says that he would pick up like Tom Clancy books every once in a while, and I saw him lying around the house, but I don't think I ever saw him or my mom read. My mom has she's got ADHD like a really, I'm laughing because if she's just very funny woman from Brooklyn, very tiny funny woman from Brooklyn, and she is like so eclectic and so funny in a good way, in a great way. Like I love my mom. But she's also like so willing to just like how do I explain this? Just so willing to she would wake up. Let me just tell a story about this. She
Please.
would wake up when we had one car and I had to go to my job at Costco, and I had to report at 4:15 in the morning, and she needed the car during the day, and she would wake up and she would take me to work. and so I was like, okay, like that's great. And then she picked me up, and sometimes like early on, especially, she would drive me to my other job 40 minutes away when I clock out at 3 o'clock, and then or I think some days she would do that, some days I'd take it, and then I'd go to my other job at 8 at night and um clean gym floors till 11. And but she was always there. She'd always be up the next morning with me and taking me to the train when I was commuting to New York. And again, we only had one car. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like the willingness to do all that, like it's the similar things to my father, and just like that will. It's just so hard. I don't think it's something you can teach really. But obviously I saw it as an example. And so, that discipline of being able to do it, yeah, took that away for sure. And then just letting their little son yap at the dinner table, and saw, during the day or during the week, and yeah, letting him tell stories and try to get people to laugh, I think was I was fortunate that I, had them for that too. Yeah, there's so many things. Yeah, I can keep going.
I love that. Yeah, it's amazing how parents and not what they say, but just how they live their life, how that can shape us. Like my mom, Grace, all the way, just selfless,
Yeah,
completely. Anyone that entered her home, your family.
yeah,
Like if you entered her home, she passed away. It's going to be 10 years this
Oh,
November.
wow. Yeah.
So you come into her home, your family. Like, she's going to want to know everything about you. And if she hears that you're an author, she's going to want to know everything about that. And she'll want to support it. And she'll want to maybe financially just like, okay, let me just, buy a copy or something. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing when you see just your parents, like, how you say persistence and perseverance. Like, you see these single word attitudes. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, it really is. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. That's
thank you for sharing.
10 years is a big one.
Yeah.
I think there's no amount of time, like, and I'm sure you experience this. It's like it doesn't matter how much time passes. It's like, it's just sort of just always, it just is, it's just that thing missing. But yeah, it's, you take away the good from those experiences and the experiences with grief that are ongoing, and you kind of see where they take you. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clothes hanging.
No, you're fine.
My mom took in a French foreign exchange student, 1992.
Okay.
She wanted to challenge herself. She's like, hey, how can I love someone that's not my own child?
Wow.
And of course she successfully.
Yeah.
But Arnaud is my French brother. He visited not too long ago, like last week. And so him and my actual brother, we went to a spot and we spread my mom's ashes. And
wow.
It was fun, to just go down memory lane. I wasn't terribly close to my French brother because an age gap, massive age gap, but he was just that vessel of memory, all these memories and stories about my mom and growing up. And it was just, it's memories are so important, so priceless. And just, as a filmmaker, I want to hold those memories, and I'm curious, do you have memories or moments in life that just kind of influence like how you want to put to page, or like influence your writing style or anything?
I don't know. I think there being like a history of, what that the very concept of the things that we know, and our experiences with the people that are incredibly close to us, and then finding out, it's in this case, it is through my father's death, just all of the person that he was before I existed. I think that kind of weeds its way into my writing just a little bit. I think that, the perspective and the concept of how somebody is seeing through the eyes of another, and how somebody sees themselves, I think that played a role. And I think that's the only way it really could get into my writing, if I were able to articulate it, at least in a way that I can articulate it. I think that is the biggest sort of, and of course that's through advice also of other authors and how they see through the eyes of their characters and so on and so forth. It's a creative tool, but I think if I were to translate the stories and the things that I've faced in my life, or my parents have faced in their lives, and their parents have faced in their lives, just the history of the world and everybody's experiences, I think that played probably a pretty big role in how I wanted to convey the story, at least.
Okay. Yeah. Well, dude, I will end on a lighter note. I know you have videos on your BookTube channel.
Yeah.
And I know every book you read, it's going to change all the time. But favorite books of all time?
Oh yeah. Dead House Gates, Malazan. Malazan and Sun Eater would make up so much of like my top 5, or top 10. But Sun Eater, I bouncing back and forth between Kingdoms of Death, Ashes of Ban, Howling Dark, Disquiet Gods. Excuse me. I love me some Sun Eater. I love The Road. I love The Stand. I love me some Joe Abercrombie. Anything so far.
You read Swan Song?
I haven't read Robert McCammon yet. No, I
I don't.
really, I do want to read Robert McCammon
Same.
so bad. Yeah. Him and I think Ronald Malfi. I need more Stephen King under my belt for sure.
Same.
But Swan Song, like Post Apocalypse, like I don't know what it is. I think again, Ramble Broadcasting made a video about this, where he talks about like our draw to it, and there's just something about the thought experiment of the way of the world, and if X happened, what would we do as a species? Which going back to Discovery by the J.A.J. Mitten clan, like so it's such an interesting experiment. Like people think the end of days is nigh. It's like what do we do? Like how do we, you know, what happens? How does the world organize against this fate? Yeah, I don't know. I'm obsessed with that. But Dead House Gates, definitely number one. If you want to ask me if I had any idea what was going on for the first 80% of that book, the answer is no. And in fact, for Gardens of the Moon and Dead House Gates, I honestly don't know. I was like, okay, it's just like we're here. But Dead House Gates, the ending, that something clicked, the emotional resonance of that story specifically, and just the journey. Oh, Joanna, hey, that's so cool. I see Sir Wonderbread's also reading Dead House Gates right now, but
Oh yeah.
but that ending, like, I mean, it tore my heart out, and it was from such a seemingly the perspective that you see it from is just so I can't even begin to explain it because I can't give any. I mean, I honestly don't think I could try if I were to give it away. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a dark moment, and how did I've never seen a story told that way, and it changed my perspective. It completely shifted how I look at stories. And then Sun Eater, of course, I don't know. I just like all of the influences that Christopher Rocchio has had. And I've also been fortunate to meet him a couple times and have conversations with him. And he's an incredible young writer. And his words just on the page, they flow seamlessly to me. I understand that there's some people that probably don't think that, but Tad Williams, the same thing. Just like beautiful, beautiful writing. Joe Abercrombie, gritty and somehow beautiful at the same time. He's like looking at a gloomy Scottish, what is it? A horizon. Like it's just like, there's just like this beauty to it in the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't read Joe Abercrombie, but I know the allure and Tad Williams. I'm saving Tad Williams for like a special time.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a book,
it's an investment
trilogy that I don't want to rush.
No, absolutely not. Every I don't know, his character voice is not praised enough. I think that a lot of the influence from my writing does come from kind of how he does it. Like and through the course of the books, you start to see it and experience it more. But his character voice, the way that he does it, is just so, you know, when you're in the head of a certain character, and differently than when Abercrombie does it, because Joe's a master of like the inner dialogue. But the way that Tad Williams paints a scene and the way that he paints his characters, it's so apparent who you're in the head of as you read it. I don't know. It's just beautiful. Really.
I think, well, I mean, the cool thing about Buellman is, like you said, you've only read 2 pages from it, but like Black Tongue Thief is told from one voice. And like that writing style is more just the character's voice.
Yes.
And it's just like, I believe that this is a character that lives in this world. And I think it takes a special talent to be able to do that. Rather than just reading words on a page and this character said that, this character said this with a smile. Cool. But it's something that it adds that layer of immersion. That's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Ted Williams and all that. Favorite films and video games that, you know, and these can just be whatever.
Okay. I can run you through really quick. I wrote this top 10 for films. We're gonna just put the Lord of the Rings trilogy in one box. We're gonna put the 2 Dune movies as number 2. Those are just like as of now. I think
my wife told me that part 3 is just going to be called part 3.
Yeah, just part 3. They didn't.
Which I think is a good move.
Yeah, good choice, because they're going to do Children of Dune stuff in there for sure. Yeah. So the Dune movies, for sure. Star Wars, pre-Disney Star Wars. For no other reason. Although I'm in the middle of Andor right now, I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed Mandalorian. I enjoyed Kenobi, although I understand the gripes with it. but yeah, I just like those three movies just didn't do it. There was just like so much that just was contrived, and I know a story is a series of contrivances, but it just felt so unauthentic. So yeah, Star Wars movies, including the prequels and the original films, and obviously the show Clone Wars. But sorry, we're in favorite movies.
No, it's fine.
Tombstone's up there. Sicario is up there.
Oh my gosh, my God.
Heat is up there.
Heat.
Yeah,
Hey,
Heat's a great one.
I love
The Departed. The Departed has to be
yeah.
up there. Can't not be. Just an all-star cast. Oh man, I'm trying to remember what else. Ooh, you know what? The Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, I think was in that top 10. I think it snuck its way in. I'll say my favorite directors, Denis and Christopher Nolan.
You're speaking my language, man.
Yeah,
those are the only two guys that are, I think, just making films for themselves and having fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Spielberg, but like if you're talking about modern day, like guys getting after it still, like those guys are just a completely original.
Talk about, when I mentioned Steal Like an Artist, Denis appreciates so much of what Spielberg has done.
Yeah.
We've watched Jaws bits and pieces in our hotel room a couple weeks ago, and then she watched Jurassic Park. We watched it without headphones. And I need to make a video on this on another channel or something, but it is such an important thing to do, to watch a film without audio.
Really? Okay.
I just focused on, this is, Jurassic Park by Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
Like I focused on the camera work.
Yeah.
And just like these push-ins, and I'm just, wow, so creative, and just visually, you're only watching the film through visuals. Yeah. And what an exercise.
Okay. Interesting.
I definitely want to watch. I mean, I would hate to do it, but I need to watch a Denis film without audio and just see what that's like.
That's so tough. Prisoners would be a weird one to watch without audio.
It's tough. I keep going back and forth with Prisoners and Sicario.
Sicario. Sicario, it's Sicario for me. I think that I just love, again, that's another interesting narrative choice of the main character isn't even, you're not really in the main character's perspective.
No,
if you're reading it in a book, you're watching the main character from another perspective. It's technically, I mean, I know Emily, I don't want to say too much. And also just like the severity of that villain and the complexity of that villain quite literally is a villain. I mean, you don't do like that, be called a good guy. That is just one of the most oddly satisfying films I've ever seen. I don't know. And I like the second one too. It gets a lot of flack, but I like that one too. I was hoping that they'd make a third. Like just keep making more. Although I know that there's something to be said about just leave it. Yeah. They could have totally have left it and it would have been
the cool thing is the without giving much away, Sicario, the film itself is, and a lot of Denis' work is very just a circle.
Yeah.
And I think he does that so brilliantly. And yeah, he's got he's not templated, but there's a style that he does. And you could see it in a lot of his work with just human nature, but just how it's circular.
Yes.
And I don't think he beats it on the head a whole bunch, but he executes. Talk about execution.
Yeah.
He knows how to execute it. And he's always surrounded by, Greg Fraser, Roger Deakins, Joe Walker,
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer and Johan Johansson.
Oh yeah. Johan Johansson.
Sadly, I mean, he passed, but he was slotted for Blade Runner 2049. And then Denis parted ways with him.
Wow.
And
I didn't realize.
Yeah. Talk about that film could have been, I think, completely different.
Oh yeah.
Without Hans. But any other top films that you think are just that stick with you?
I want to acknowledge also because Sicario, I think, was written by Taylor Sheridan.
Oh my gosh!
Who's
talk about Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water, yeah, and then like movies, yeah, but also shows. Just like I love Lioness. I love we just watched. What did we just watch? Oh, this isn't him, but it has his energy. It's like a Guy Ritchie thing. I think Mobland was Guy Ritchie. But but not traditional Guy Ritchie. Like, I think you would appreciate this. Like Guy Ritchie, you're familiar with Guy Ritchie and just his cuts and how he does his jump stuff, and it just flashbacks. And The Gentleman is a movie he did. He did that Ungentlemanly Warfare film. He's done
Snatch.
Yeah. He's done like a ton of great movies. But he has like a style in Mobland. He just like where he would traditionally cut away to like some flashback or flash forward or something. He just like lets it sit on Tom Hardy. He lets the shot it sit on Hardy, and you're just like, what Tom Hardy's picturing just based on his face, which is crazy. Peaky Blinders is my favorite show of all time. I'll just say that right now. I know we're talking about movies, but Peaky Blinders absolutely favorite. Vikings is up there. But yeah, no, I think I said all my fave movies. I love Nolan. I liked 1917. That was a good one. I wouldn't say Saving Private Ryan, obviously 13 Hours. I loved. Love a good Michael Bay movie. Here and there.
Have you seen that new film?
Warfare? Not yet.
I haven't seen it yet. So
I've heard it's brutal.
I'll watch it alone just because.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I might cry a bunch.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. But yeah, I think that one is supposed to be good. Sinners, I've heard, is also supposed to be good. I haven't seen.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about that.
Yeah, I gotta see that one. That one's on the list.
My friend who's a wedding filmmaker, he's like, "Hey, you need to watch this." I'm like, "Okay, I trust you."
Yeah, I've heard it's a game changer.
Yeah,
I need to see it. Yeah, I don't know. And then video games: Elden Ring, RuneScape, World of Warcraft. I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm from Blizzard. I don't know if anyone knows what that is.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's like a MOBA. It was like well, I'll say this, and then people who love Heroes of the Storm will or Blizzard in general be like, no, like MOBAs came from Blizzard, and they did. But yeah, it's on HBO. Okay, well,
okay.
Now
I think I know. Honey, do you want to watch Sinners tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
She nodded.
Yeah,
you're on live. You nodded. I got.
Yeah, it's on. It has to happen now.
It has to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, video games. I played a ton of video games growing up. A lot of Rayman, a lot of Crash Bandicoot, a lot of Gran Turismo. I love cars. I like cars a lot. Not like that, like super extensive. I just have like a pretty basic fundamental knowledge. But like I love watching Formula One now, so I got to see that F1 movie as well.
Oh yeah.
I love watching Formula One. It's just like so interesting. Just like all the work. That's like, you want to talk about a team putting together, just like and you only see this on the surface, you see this driver racing it, but like there's so much that goes into those cars.
The stamina and the focus. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm like 100 pounds heavier, I think, than I should be for being a Formula One driver.
Shape, which is just wild.
Yeah,
wild. Joanna mentioned finish the
Godfather. Godfather there's so many good. It's crazy how many good films there are.
Yeah.
You know what? It's completely a shift from that. I really like Casablanca, and I really like La La Land. Like if you want to talk about like love stories that I love, La La Land is like I think it's probably, and I say those two because obviously of all the lore that came from Casablanca in La La Land. But the ending of that movie crushed me. I just remember I was on the boat on deployment, and I was watching that movie on my phone, and I was just like, oh my God. Why did they end it like this? I just wanted to like throw my phone off the boat. I was like, this is.
I'm happy they did because
I'm happy they did. Yes, don't get me wrong.
It's that realism, that melancholy feeling.
Perfect.
And
just like that flashback, that song. If that plays right now, I might tear up a little, just because like I'm like, man, that is a dagger. that is such a good movie.
My friend who's an actress, she said it is the clear just honesty of being an actor in Hollywood, like the reality of it. It just like they captured it.
Wow.
With just all those call-ins and rehearsals, and then this and then just dealing with the relationship in the midst of it. It's a great film, and I love Ryan Gosling. I think he's an underrated actor.
Oh yeah. He's got I haven't watched the trailer for Project Hail Mary, but because I haven't read the book yet and I want to wait. But I think I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But yeah.
Drive. Have you watched that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what's crazy? I gotta rewatch that movie because I think I saw it. It's funny because I watched Interstellar, by the way, another favorite.
Okay.
I watched Interstellar when I was and it relates because I'm talking about the age range at which I watched it. I was like just getting out of high school, going to college, I think. And I watched Drive and I was like, man, there's it's the same feeling I had when I watched Dune. I was like, there's something here. I don't like know what it is. Like I gotta watch it again. I just really do. That's a movie that shouldn't only be seen once, and I've only seen it once,
That
and I
needs
feel
to
terrible
be
about it.
I think it needs to be shown in film classes because of how minimal it is
Right.
and how, because it's an indie director, and how little he uses, the actors, the locations. I mean, it's so, I don't know, you talk about, like, and I keep bringing, okay, so Christopher Nolan, big casts, epics,
Yeah.
for the most part. And then you got, Drive. And then how he uses these 4 or 5 actors and just 5 or 6 locations and just, I don't know, I think it's really well done. And then I look at Denis Villeneuve. He definitely has epic, proportions, but when you look at it, stepping back and you're just like, okay, there's
Yeah.
only a handful of actors he actually uses.
Yep.
The editing isn't flashy. It's very just straightforward.
Yeah.
It's not groundbreaking in a way. It's just smart. It's like I'm thinking of Sicario and Drive. I think they're
Yeah.
so similar in the raw simplicity. I don't know how to explain it,
There's
but
a timing. I think there's timing. I think it
yep,
involves a lot of just like shot timing and there's a lot of like good choices made throughout. Perfect choices in the shots that they show.
yep.
I'm like putting this together in my head. Also, I have so there's it's not a friend, it's a mutual connection that I'm actually intending on being introduced to through like a military friend. But his name's Josh Plass. He wrote a book called Dust. I think it's epic fantasy. I think I have a copy, but he's a filmmaker as well. He's an actor. He's out in Virginia Beach. He's doing like a Pirate King movie right now with Rob Riggle. As soon as I'm introduced to him, I'll be curious as to if you guys can connect. And I think it'd be I don't know because I have also an appreciation for acting and film. I get probably not film to the extent that you do, but I took acting classes. I love acting, and I'm hoping that I can work on film and TV rights for my book because I want to act in a minor role in it just for fun.
As you should.
Yeah, just because I love storytelling, like all of it.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle for me. But yeah, I'd love to once I get connected to him, I'm gonna try all my people in my life who like love film. This guy's actively out there doing it with I don't know if he's doing this one Pirate King movie indie or what, but yeah, he's got a pretty decent cast for somebody of that size. But yeah, I'm just thinking about like film right now, and now that we kind of got into that story. But yeah.
It's amazing. It's an amazing world, and I just love all these different creative minds, authors, directors,
Yeah.
visionaries that just have a vision and sharing a story, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Hanging out, chatting. I'm not an author, but it's
No, I mean, hey, you've
great to
written a
connect
couple
with
things.
another creative, and writing your first book. I mean, it's just, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm grateful we had this conversation. We'll have to do it again, and also we'll have to get that D&D game back up.
Yeah, we gotta get all that going.
Just got
Absolutely.
Skeff in the group. He's
Oh yeah.
another writer, but yeah, I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun to
Yeah.
do that again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all to hopping in and hanging out with us. We'll do it again soon.
Heck yeah.
See you later, y'all.
Later, gang. Thank you.